The tasks you procrastinate on most aren't the ones you don't care about, they're the ones that matter. The important email, the meaningful project, the thing you know would move your life forward. You want to do it, you care about the outcome, and yet you can't find a way to start. If that sounds familiar, let me say this up front. This isn't laziness, it isn't a lack of motivation, and it isn't a discipline problem. By the end of this video, procrastination will stop feeling mysterious and start feeling understandable. And once something is understandable, it becomes solvable. Most people think procrastination means you don't care, but pause for a second and look at your own behaviour. The things you procrastinate on most are usually the things with the highest stakes. Lazy people don't procrastinate on meaningful work, they just don't get it done. Procrastination shows up when importance shows up, when expectations rise, when the outcome really matters, when the work feels connected to your identity. That alone should tell us something, shouldn't it? Procrastination isn't about indifference, it's about pressure. What we call procrastination is usually a collision between four things: pressure, expectations, uncertainty, and emotional load. Not a lack of effort. The more important a task feels, the heavier that collision becomes. You're not just starting a task, you're starting a judgment about your ability, about your intelligence, your future, and your nervous system feels that long before your logic does. Here's the loop most people get trapped in. You avoid the task. You feel guilty. You promise you'll do better tomorrow. You add more pressure. Then tomorrow arrives and the task feels heavier than before because now it's carrying yesterday's guilt as well. So you avoid it again. This is not a willpower issue. It's a pressure escalation loop. Guilt doesn't motivate you to start. It raises the emotional cost of starting. This is where the science matters. When pressure builds, your nervous system shifts into protection mode. Your brain stops asking what's the best long-term move and starts asking what reduces discomfort right now. Under stress, the prefrontal cortex quiets down. Threat detection ramps up. Decision-making narrows. Your brain becomes excellent at avoidance and terrible at initiation. That's why procrastination feels automatic, because it's not a choice, it's a response. Procrastination happens when the cost of starting feels higher than the cost of delay, and no amount of discipline fixes that equation. Most advice tells you to just start, but starting is the very thing your brain has decided feels unsafe. So when you force yourself, resistance increases, stress increases, procrastination just strengthens. And when it doesn't work, you conclude something must be wrong with you. But look, nothing is wrong with you. You're trying to override a protective system by applying more pressure. I lived under this pressure for a long time. I could sprint, I could deliver under pressure, but I couldn't make momentum repeatable. Every push required recovery, every delay carried guilt, and procrastination kept coming back stronger until I stopped trying to beat it and started trying to understand it. Here's the reframe that I hope can change things for you. Procrastination is not the enemy, it's information. It's your nervous system saying something about this just doesn't feel safe. That safety might be emotional or cognitive or energetic or identity based, but until you address that, action will remain blocked. This is the foundation of my momentum reset method. We don't ask, how do I force myself to do this? We ask, what pressure is my system responding to right now? In my work, procrastination almost always comes down to one of three things. First, overwhelm. Too many open loops, too much mental load, no clear starting point. Second, emotional threat, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of doing it wrong. Third, identity pressure. This task says something about me. None of these are solved by effort. They're solved by regulation and reduction. When you reduce internal pressure, something surprising happens. You don't suddenly become hyper-motivated. You become available to start, available to focus, available to continue. Here's what works instead of pushing. You regulate first. You reduce the task. You create a safe entry point. You stop asking for commitment and ask for permission. So instead of, I'm going to work on this project, you say, I'll open the document and change one sentence. Instead of, I need to finish this today, you could say, I'll give this 10 calm minutes. Your nervous system relaxes, resistance drops, and often flow appears on its own. That's not mindset, that's biology. If procrastination has been frustrating you, I want you to hear this. You're not lazy, you're overloaded. And overloaded is solvable. There's a resolution for it. If you want a clear step-by-step way to apply this to reduce overwhelm and build momentum without panic, then the momentum reset method is linked below. And if this resonated, let me know in the comments. What's the task you've been procrastinating on the most? You don't need to try harder. You need a system that works with your brain.